Welcome to the Lex Buzz and Pick and Roll podcast. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Brandon.
And with you as always is Tyler.
Tyler, this is a special edition. This is episode 47, if memory serves correct.
It is.
Episode 47, and I literally just got back in from the airport from a family trip, and you know what the first thing I decided to do was?
Go to bed?
No, it wasn't that. It was record this show, Tyler, because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to do our preview of the SEC tournament, kind of give our thoughts on that. We're going to talk about Reed Sheppard going up against Lexington Catholic, how that turned out. We're also going to be talking some more Mitch McConnell, Tyler, as I know you're excited about that as well.
How does Mitch McConnell come up every single week? I don't
know.
He keeps finding ways into our show.
But we also have to talk Reese Cups, Dr. Seuss, bus driver pay, and much, much more, Tyler. Which is what our show is. We are much, much more.
Wow, this sounds great.
I can't wait to tune in.
Everybody should listen to this. This is going to be a great show.
I know. But before we get into it, you know the rules here, Tyler. You know what we got to do? First of all, we got to tell people to go to our website, lakesbuds.com, check out Tyler's latest article on memorable SEC tournament games in Kentucky history with Coach Calipari. It's always fun. And you can also follow us on Twitter for our reactions to these games as they unfold over the course of the week and weekend. And Tyler, how was your week, just in general?
Nothing really memorable. Well, we did go back to Whitesburg, our hometown. You're in my hometown to visit for the weekend, to visit the parents for a little while. So it's always good to get away from the hustle and bustle of the big city. So had a nice relaxing weekend of doing absolutely nothing, because there really is not much of anything to do when we go back to our hometown.
Did you get the Mountain Eagle newspaper?
I did. So I'm all set for some Speak Your Piece whenever we are ready to do that again.
Well, that's good, because in this episode, we actually don't have a segment 3 today, right? We're doing a sports segment. We're doing a news segment. We are temporarily postponing our Sweet 16 candy bar bracket, the Elite 8 round, because we want to wait until we're together in studio. As I mentioned up front, this is being recorded via Zoom. So if you're hearing this on the podcast feed and not video, we're doing this via podcast. Lord have mercy. Via
We're
Zoom.
Doing the podcast via podcast.
We're doing the podcast via podcast. Boy, do I sound old. But if it sounds a little different this time, we at least wanted to make sure we got this episode out, because there was a lot to cover. And we thought it would be silly to just gloss over these topics like they never happened. We don't do that, Tyler. We give people what they want, and we got to give them the news.
Yeah, it may just be a few days late, but eventually we will get you everything that you want. It just may not be on time every week, but we will get it.
I think that was actually in each of our different wedding vows, Tyler, in our wedding. Like, I, Tyler Bentley, vowed to get you what you want at some point. It may not be when you want it, but it'll get there. And I love you.
Yes, whatever baby want, like that scene in the breakup when she wants the lemons and he brings her 12 lemons. It's like, yeah, whatever baby wants, baby gets. Like, baby wanted 12 lemons.
What are you going to do with 12 lemons? That's such a good movie. Too funny, Tyler. Well, This week I took an adults trip to Disney World with the wife. It was just my wife and I. We've taken the kids several times, and we decided, you know what? We want to go to Epcot and go eat and drink around the world just by ourselves and just enjoy all the adult, like, dinner festivities and stuff like that you can't really do with kids, because kids just want to eat chicken nuggets all day long, as I do too.
Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. I love chicken nuggets.
Nothing wrong with that. But, sometimes you want to try some different stuff. So it was good. It was a fun trip, and we literally just got back. So
fantastic.
I don't know, man.
What is your favorite country at Epcot to go to?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Well, I can't do Mexico or Canada because, they're really close. But if I had to pick an outlier that I really enjoy, I'm going to go this is a tough call, Tyler.
I know. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
You really did, but I really like the Japanese area. Just I've always liked the architecture of it all. They've got some cool stores there. It's just it's a good time.
Nice.
At some point, I'll get to see the real Japan. This is kind of like the sampler platter.
It is.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, you get a little taste of everything, different foods, different cultures. it's educational, really, is what it is. You're educating yourself at Epcot.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I educated myself quite a bit. It was very good. But now that that's out of the way, Tyler, you know what time it is. It's time to get down to the rundown. And I'll ask you, do you want to start with sports or news, Tyler?
I say let's start with sports, sir, because it is March after all.
I heard that. I heard about that. Well, let's get to it, Tyler. What's up first?
All right. So first, I think we got to talk about the most recent game, which was Kentucky's victory over South Carolina.
Yes.
Last regular season game, the Cats put a thumping on the Gamecocks, 92-64. I don't think anyone saw that coming. If you predicted a 28-point win by this team over anybody, I don't think I would have picked Kentucky over Lexington Catholic by 28 points.
I wouldn't have picked that in a blue-white game, Tyler.
I'm not even sure I would have picked us to win against Lexington Catholic, let alone 28 points. But just, I mean, an absolute beatdown. By far the best this team has looked all year. Shot the ball well, passed the ball well, defended well. Just a great game, and just one of those feel-good games that we desperately needed. Brandon, what were your big takeaways from Saturday?
I was just glad to have something to be happy about this year because, even the games that we have won, there was the Florida game, of course, but I feel like we've eked out. There's that scene in Dumb and Dumber where Lloyd looks over at Harry and he says, "I'm tired of trying to eke my way through life." I feel like we've eked our way through life this basketball season, and I'm tired of it, man. It was good to see us lay a beat down on somebody, and doing it against Frank Martin's always fun too. But I don't know. I was just glad to see it. I was glad we were able to make shots. Here's the dirty little secret of the entire year. If we had made more shots earlier in the year, we would have won more games. So this is what it looks like when a normal team hits shots and we have above average talent, which is what we have. You combine the two and you get these 20 and 30-point blowouts. It's just making shots. That's all it is.
But at its core, basketball is a pretty simple game. You put the round orange ball into the spherical netted hoop, and the team that does that the most usually ends up winning the game.
We should try to do that more often. I do like to change from going to Mintz at the point guard position. I mean, I've heard frustrations about ASCU all year. I get texts during the games like, why are we still doing the same thing? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. Well, that's pretty much what we did this year until the last couple of games of the season where we put Mintz in at point guard, and it just paid dividends. I mean, everybody's playing better. We're getting more open shots, more open threes, which may be why we're actually able to hit a few more. But just overall, it was good to have a feel-good victory. We just haven't had enough of those, and it's good to exhale sometimes. In yoga, you have to take a deep breath, and then you exhale. I feel like we've been in the deep breath and like our face is turning purple and blue. And we're like, can we exhale now? Can we do something good? And we finally did it. And it's what we thought we'd see all year after that first Moorhead game. You thought, okay, this is how it's going to be all year. Nope. Just waited till the end.
Yeah. And instead, the rest of the year was, to use another Dumb and Dumber reference, our pets' heads were falling off all year. That was the summary of our season. Everything was going wrong. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Jeez.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Let's see how many times we can reference Dumb and Dumber before the show's over.
Okay, so we're already at 2. So that's good in the first 5 minutes. We're off to a good start.
Yeah.
But, to throw a couple stats at you, as I like to do, this was the first game in which 2 Kentucky players hit 6 threes since Jamal Ashburn and Travis Ford did it in a game in 1993.
No way, Tyler. You're making that up.
No. And would you have ever believed that this team of all teams, as much as we've struggled shooting the ball, would be the first team in nearly 30 years to have 2 players do that? Mintz and, of course, Boston both hitting 6 threes.
That's unbelievable. It doesn't make any sense, Tyler. It doesn't add up. And to the fact that it was Jamal Mashburn is actually surprising, too. I knew he could shoot, but not 6 threes good. I mean, that's pretty good. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut every now and then. I don't know if we just got lucky and we found our nut, or if we are going to revert back. The SEC tournament's going to tell us a lot.
It is, and we are going to talk about that in just a minute. So we'll kind of talk about do we think this is just the blind squirrel finding a nut one time, or is this a trend, or are things looking up? One last thing I wanted to ask you about before we move on to that, though, going back to the game Wednesday night when Jimmy Dykes was commentating. Apparently, Jimmy Dykes got to speak with Coach Cal before that game and said that he believes Coach Cal is going to bring in 7 or 8 new guys for next season. Now, in the past couple days, we've heard kind of some different ideas where Calipari has kind of hinted that BJ Boston might even come back for a sophomore year. So we can't have 7 or 8 new guys coming in and having all these other guys coming back. So what do you make of Jimmy Dykes' comments? Do you think it's going to be a complete roster overhaul, or do you think a lot of these guys come back?
Well, what have we learned from this season with roster overhauls, Tyler? I mean, we only had Keon Brooks returning that played any sort of minutes. So these big roster overhauls are very difficult. They're difficult for the players, but there is just as much difficulty trying to, get to know new players every single year. It is very taxing on the fans. And I know first world problems, boo, I have to get to know, the UK roster.
Oh, how rough. Yeah.
But the fact is, the grumblings in the fan base are, yes, we're losing games. But for the last few years, it's been, I don't even know who these guys are. I feel like they're just taking the bus, stopping at UK, and then their NBA bus is just coming right behind it at some point, or the transfer train. The NBA bus or the transfer train. And it's like we never really get to know anyone. They're not here long enough. And the chemistry has been difficult this year. This has been the biggest overhaul we've done. If you add 7 or 8 more players next year, it's going to be a similar situation. And you can put some stock into what the recruits look like coming in. But until you see it on the court, I'm going to take a wait and see approach.
So would you rather, I give you a would you rather? Would you rather have a complete roster overhaul? Because we've been hard on these guys, and we have seen a lot of struggles from Devin Askew. We've seen the struggles of Boston. Would you rather just cut bait with these guys and say these guys just don't have it and just kind of start over? Or do you think there is enough potential with this group of guys we have now to build upon to be a Final Four caliber team?
I think you have to give these guys some more time. I mean, it's like we ask the players for more time to stay longer. So in some cases, they may need to ask us for patience for another year. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes players take longer to develop. Freshmen used to not develop like this. This isn't normal. Like the last 10 years are really strange because freshman players used to be tall, frail, skinny things that never got in the game. Now they're coming in, they've worked out, they're primed, they're ready to play AAU ball. But sometimes just adjusting to the college game is difficult. Adjusting to college officiating is very difficult. Mm-hmm. Trying to gauge the referee whistle in the SEC. Speaking of the most annoying sound in the world, Dumb and Dumber reference would be the SEC officiating whistle.
Nice.
But I think you got to give them more time.
Yeah, I agree. I hope we have a lot of these guys come back. We have seen, I mean, pretty much every player we've seen improvement. I mean, Jacob Toppin has improved tremendously. Davion Mintz has become, just stone cold killer, taking over
ridiculous
at the point guard. So yeah, I hope a lot of these guys come back. I hope we don't see a complete roster overhaul as Jimmy Dykes suggested. And if BJ Boston comes back, I mean, as much as we have hammered on him,
he ain't coming back, Tyler. He ain't coming back.
Nah, I mean, Calipari.
You don't think do you think he's coming back? Come on, man.
Mean, if I had to bet on it, no. But do I think the odds are better today than they were a few weeks ago? Yeah.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
You are on a roll, sir.
That's right.
That is now 4 Dumb and Dumber references.
I just don't see it happening, man. The guy, he had a documentary crew coming in filming this year because he has one goal in mind: going to the NBA. You don't bring a documentary crew to document your 1 year in college and then say, you know what? I think we really need a sequel.
Yeah, that could be. Everybody loves sequels, right?
No, this isn't The Godfather Part 2. This isn't, something like this. It's just not going to be as good. The guy had intentions when he came here. I'm sure everybody in his family has the same intentions as well. I don't know what's going to happen with Terrence Clark. That's another player you think, well, he could probably benefit, but is he really?
No.
If he's not going to live up to the hype, maybe he's better getting out now before he gets exposed.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's no chance for Clark, but maybe a little bit of chance for Boston.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk some SEC tournament.
Let's do that, Tyler. It is very clear if you're a UK fan and you want to see the Wildcats in the NCAA tournament field, we are going to have to run the table and win the SEC tournament. Tyler, we got the draw against Mississippi State coming up on Thursday. The winner of that game, I believe, has the great privilege of playing a team that has whooped us pretty hard at home in Alabama. What are the odds? That's my question. What are the odds? Do we do this? Is the last game we played enough to make you say, yeah, we can make the run and we can get in the
tournament? I think the odds of us winning every game is a coin flip. I think us beating Mississippi State is a coin flip. I think beating Alabama is a coin flip. I mean, every game is a coin flip. So I'm going to say my odds of us winning the SEC tournament are the odds of correctly predicting heads or tails for 4 straight coin tosses.
Wow.
Whatever that is, whatever odds those are is what I put our odds of winning the whole thing.
So you're telling me that the game against Alabama is a coin flip? Because I think it could be a disaster. I know we played them close one game. They beat the crap out of us the other. We struggle against teams like that. I don't think that's a coin flip game. I think we've got to be firing on all cylinders, and they have to be missing a lot of shots.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we're much better than that game. And I mean, Alabama so much relies on 3-point shooting. If they're not hitting at a very high clip, they're going to miss a lot of shots. Again, basketball, like we said at the beginning, is very simple. If they're making shots, they're going to win. If they're not, they may not win. But I mean, I think just this team has shown in certain times to play their best against the best opponent. We played really well against Kansas earlier in the year. We played probably our best game of the year at Florida. We beat a really good Tennessee team. And then we almost beat Alabama in the second game. So I just think this team is going to be focused in. I think we're going to see their absolute best game of the year against Alabama. It still may not be enough to win, but I think this team is going to come in looking for that. What I actually worry about is if we do beat Alabama, having that letdown. I worry about us losing actually in the semifinals or the championship game, because we will have put so much into that Alabama game. And you know how much hype there's going to be if we are playing Alabama in the quarterfinals on Friday. That game, that's going to be insane.
It is going to be insane.
Whatever amount of people are in the building for that game, there is going to be a buzz to that one. So I think it's going to be a physically and mentally draining game for both teams. And we would still have to win 2 more games after that.
Yeah, and of course we're talking about the second game of the tournament. We have to get past the first game. If you recall, the first time we played Mississippi State, we had to have 7 threes from Dante Allen to send it to overtime to beat Mississippi State. So this is not going to be easy to get past the first round. Everything we do from here on out is going to be a struggle, and we have to win 10 games in a row to win the title. So a little bit of a Herculean task.
Yeah, but it could happen. It would actually be 11 games in it since we won our last regular season game. So it would be a total of 11 straight wins.
I don't see why that can't happen. That's more wins than we had all season. But, I mean, those are just minor details.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. And we never won more than 3 straight games all season.
That's true. Well, what Calipari should do is say, look, we're not going to go on a 10-game winning streak. We're going to go on 3 different 3-game winning streaks, and we'll end up in the tourney. It's a mental thing. That's the way you do it. Don't tell them you got to win 10 in a row. Just say, hey, we've won 3 in a row. Let's go out and win these 3 in a row. And let's go out and win those next 3 in a row.
And then you win the next 3. I like it. I like where your head's at.
Well, I feel better than I did last week about the tournament odds. We'll see how it goes. My overall feeling about the SEC tournament, we'll see how it goes. Okay. I honestly have no clue what to think about this.
Well, if you had to make a prediction, how far do you think the Cats go in the tournament, in the SEC tournament? What's your prediction?
We don't get past Alabama.
So beat Mississippi State, lose to Alabama.
Yep, that's my thought. And we just move along our merry way.
Yeah. I'm going to say we beat Mississippi State, beat Alabama, and then lose to either Florida or Tennessee in the semifinals. I think they're going to get everybody's hopes up just like they've done all year. Anytime we get a win, like, oh, this team's finally turned the corner, and then I think that's kind of what's going to happen. There's just going to be a big letdown after the Alabama game.
It's going to be interesting. We'll see. It's going to be a fun weekend, though, regardless. One of my favorite weekends of the year, SEC tournament and Selection Sunday. Give it to me every day. I love it.
Exactly. We will all be getting no work done on Thursday and or Friday afternoon because we will all be tuning in for the game. So make sure you are subscribing to the podcast. We will have a full breakdown of the SEC tournament and any potential NCAA tournament runs on our next episode. So make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you may be listening to us, whether it be on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcast. And please give us a 5-star review while you're at it if you're enjoying listening to the show. We're going to move on to a little bit of women's basketball. The women just finished their SEC tournament. And at the end of the regular season, once again, Ryan Howard was named SEC Player of the Year for the second year in a row. He's only a junior, so we could be looking at potentially a 3-time SEC Player of the Year next season. But, Brandon, we still continue to, I think, be a little disappointing in the conference tournaments and postseason runs. We've just never been able to break through. So what do you make of Kentucky having the best player in the SEC the last 2 years, but we can't get past the quarterfinals of the conference tournament?
I don't know what it is, man. This is the best collection of talent we've had on the women's basketball roster. And you think, okay, this is the year we're finally going to make a statement and do something. We've got, the SEC Player of the Year, but quite honestly, one of the, handful of best players in the country, maybe the best player in the country. And we still can't do it. And it's not just Ryan Howard. There's other players on the team, right? And so it's a collection. You think, okay, this is it. Yet we still get the same results. I don't know what the issue is. I'm not sure why it's happening. There's fan support. They're getting national attention. We're getting good players. So you would think things would get better. And it just doesn't, which is opposite of what, if you think about Coach Stoops and the football team, the UK football team has been historically not great, would be a nice way to put it. Mm-hmm. But you could see the progression as we got more and more talented players year after year after year. We're seeing postseason success with Stoops. You're seeing the fruits of recruiting the top players and retaining the top players. It's just not translating in women's basketball. And I have no clue why that is. If you can translate in SEC football, it should be able to translate in any sport, because that is the most difficult path to improve is in SEC football, yet we managed to do that. So I don't know what it is, but something's got to change there.
Yeah, it is interesting. And we have actually, I didn't realize this, but we have had a couple other previous SEC Women's Player of the Year. We have Victoria Dunlap a few years ago. We had Audia Mathis. So we have had some of the best talent in the SEC for the last 10 years. And we just can't seem to put all the pieces together, whether it's the cohesiveness of the roster, whether it's coaching or, I don't know what it is, but it kind of makes you wonder, what does Kentucky women's basketball have to do to finally break through when they're getting the talent? We're getting good recruits. I
feel like it's the coaching, though, because it seems like they all get along. And they really are supportive of the coaches, current, and then, even Matthew Mitchell. Everybody was very supportive. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it is. I can't pinpoint it. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're looking at probably a 4 or 5 seed for the NCAA tournament. We'll find that out early next week. So we'll have that for you as well in the next podcast. And that may be the only tournament we have to watch for UK, barring something spectacular happen. We may just be following the women's team for a run in March.
You know what? You are right, Tyler. However, there's some more basketball in Kentucky to be excited about, and that is high school basketball. There's a big game. there was a big game between the number 1 and number 2 teams in the state, with North Laurel going up against Lexington Catholic. North Laurel, of course, home to Jeff Shepard's son, Reed Shepard, and Mr. Basketball favorite, Ben Johnson, for Lexington Catholic. Unfortunately, the game was a little bit lopsided. Lexington Catholic absolutely walloped North Laurel 83-51. Ben Johnson had 31 points on 7 made threes, and Reed Shepard was held to 18 points on 5 of 15 shooting. Tyler, I remember in high school, if I scored 18 points, I wasn't being held to that. I was really knocking it out of the park. So I think that says something there. What do you make of this game and the performance of Reed Shepard? Some people felt it was a little underwhelming, but are you still excited about Reed overall?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of people on Twitter like, oh, yeah, so this guy's going to be the savior of UK basketball. All these fans are excited about. Well, he's a sophomore. I mean, he is a sophomore who is going against the best team in the state, Lexington Catholic, probably the best player in the state, Ben Johnson, who, by the way, that kid is really, really good.
Yeah, it's insane.
So, I mean, I don't think there's any reason for any of our opinions on Reed Shepard to change. He's still spectacular. He still has a very bright future. I still think Calipari should be recruiting him heavily. And this kind of stuff happens when you're a sophomore in high school, and when you're playing with the group of high school kids. I remember my senior year of high school, we had a game. ESPN happened to be doing a documentary on Kentucky high school basketball, and they came to film one of our games at home. We were playing against Perry County Central, who one of our big rivals. They were always the best team in the 14th region, and we got caught up in the lights and the cameras and the ESPN crew being there, and got drummed by 26 points. And then later that year, we beat Perry Central in the region tournament. So there was just so much hype for this game. I don't think you really got a true reflection of either team. Lexington Catholic and North Laurel actually both lost the day before. There was so much hype for Saturday's game, they forgot about the games the day before, and that happens. These kids in high school, it's really difficult when there is that much media attention and that much hype for a game. It's hard to block out all those distractions. So I think this was just a one-off for Reed Shepard. He still had a good game, like you said, 18 points, but still got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, anytime you're held to 18 points and considered a disappointment, you have a bright future, okay? You're going to get recruited by some big schools. Hopefully he ends up at Kentucky. We'll see where that ends up going. But like you said, he's a sophomore now. Of course, Calipari's a big fan of reclassifications. So, even after his junior year next year, who knows what will happen, with reclassification. But that seems to be the trendy thing to do nowadays, Tyler. So we may get to see him sooner rather than later if Cal thinks there's a need, and probably more importantly, if he thinks he's ready. It's a big jump. It's a big jump, and it'll depend on what the roster turnover looks like with the team. With us changing 7 or 8 players every single year, I have no clue if we're going to need him or not. I have no clue. I don't know what our team's going to look like next year. I don't know if we'll need him, and I don't even know if it's on his radar to do. But I'm still excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I'm still pulling hard for Calipari to get Reed Shepard here. He's going to be a heck of a player, and as we said, still only a sophomore.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Brandon, any other comments for sports? I think that was a lot of basketball.
That was a lot of basketball, Tyler, but we've got some more stuff coming after the break in our second segment. We're going to talk about school bus driver pay and possible school bus driver shortages and what that could mean. We're going to talk about Mitch McConnell because we have to on every show. We're going to talk about Dr. Seuss, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and Dead Week on college campuses. It's going to be interesting.
All right. Yeah. Who knew there would be a controversy about Dead Week? And
there's a controversy on everything. There's a controversy about us taking a break right now, Tyler, but we're going to do it anyway. We'll see you guys right after this. Welcome back. Segment 2, Lex Buds and Pick and Roll Podcast. As always, if you're trying to search for our show, whether it's audio or video, just go to your internet machine, go to Google, and search the word Lex Buds. That's where we will be, whether it's YouTube, your podcast feed, Anchor, anything in between. We're going to be on there. And as always, check us out, lexbuds.com, and on Twitter at lexbuds, Facebook, social media, all that kind of stuff. We are there. We're everywhere. And where we are right now, Tyler, is you are going to start out with our news segment and tell us what's going on. We need to inform the world and change some lives.
We do. Everyone comes to us for all the important news updates. So we are here to inform.
Let's do it. What do we got, Tyler?
Hey, Brandon, I dare you to throw your sandwich at the bus driver. Well, apparently too many drivers. That was a Billy Madison reference.
Yes, it was. It was great.
Apparently too many drivers in Fayette County have turned the buses right around, as there are 40 vacancies currently for bus driver positions. This has meant some middle and high school programs are not back to in-person learning in Fayette County. So the school board here in Lexington has upped the stakes. They have raised salaries to give bus drivers an additional $30 a day on top of their $17 an hour pay. So, Brandon, my question to you is, one, the fact that we have kids not going back to school because we can't get enough bus drivers. But two, how much would someone have to pay you to drive a school bus?
Oh, my gosh. So, boy, oh, boy, this begs a lot of questions. First of all, I'm going to say this out loud, and it may tick some people off. But let me tell you this. If you were on that school board, and I'm not going to name any names, and you didn't find out if you had a bus driver shortage before you opened up school, that sends a little spidey sense out to me. It tingles my spidey senses and lets me know that they were not planning ahead for anything, let alone opening up schools. They were almost pressured into doing that. But God forbid they had to make actual plans around facilitating that to happen. You know, we've only been in this pandemic for a year. You didn't think, hey, have you called Larry, the bus driver over at Ace? Is he coming back? Oh, no? Okay, I guess we need to fill that spot. You know what happens when you don't prepare? You end up paying more in the end. And that's why they're going to have to pony up some dough, because the planning sucked. This is something they should have known from the get-go. And that is all a lack of leadership. Plain and simple. And now they're going to have to pay up. As far as what they'd have to pay me, they wouldn't have enough pay to cover my counseling for what I would need to go through that. But you know what you should do? If people are interested in driving for extra money, how about reaching out to some Uber and Lyft drivers in the Lexington area, have them have background checks run. These people obviously like driving. Do something. Get them trained in buses. Do something. This is something that could have been done over the course of the last year. But, you know, lack of leadership leads to poor results. And look what we have now.
I do really like the idea of Uber and Lyft drivers. I hadn't thought of that. So
that's right. Fire them up, baby.
You just order your Chipotle and they're like, hey, by the way, can you drop my kid off at school while you're picking up my Chipotle?
This is a perfect scenario. You get the kids like a little personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut. You pick it up and then that's a terrible plan, by the way. It was a little sarcastic. But I guess what I'm saying is right now there's nothing. You got nothing. And I think it's complete lack of leadership that made that happen. That is something that could have been forecasted months ago. Months ago. Why are we finding out about it now? The school board's probably finding out about it now because they didn't want to ask, because they didn't want things to get going.
Wow, you are hammering the school board.
Well, what is it? I mean, who makes that decision?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
You know, and I don't know. I mean, maybe they did know there was a bus driver shortage, and maybe they've been trying to fill the positions and just haven't been able to. I mean, I don't know, but like you said, if you're aware of it, you know, why are you just now offering the increase in pay? Like, we think that you know,
yes,
that idea
exactly
could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
Yes, that's it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, poor planning. I for one cannot blame people for not wanting to drive a bus. I don't think, as you said, I don't think you could pay me enough to drive a bus. I mean, you just think about how stressful it is being a bus driver. You've got a whole bus full of kids from first grade to seniors in high school on one bus. Like, you're trying to pay attention to the road, and you got everybody in the back doing God knows what. And and yet you are responsible for the lives of every kid on there. And not to mention, most bus drivers are, people who are retired, who are the most at risk for COVID. So, I mean, I get why people don't want to do this. But for me, I think I would at least need 6 digits before I'm driving a school bus.
Jeez Louise, are you driving a limo or a school bus here? I mean, that's insane. But I get it. I mean, I just wish we weren't in this situation. I feel like it could have been avoided.
Yeah, agreed.
But speaking of Billy Madison, Tyler, the Kentucky State Senate wants you to stay here. Stay as long as you can. Another Billy Madison reference. The Kentucky State Senate passed a bill allowing an extra year of school that particularly focuses on students that are sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are interested in repeating their school year because they feel like they may have missed part of their education due to the COVID pandemic. Tyler, first of all, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think it's obviously going to translate to sports as well? So seniors will get another senior year of sports. But would you do it? Would you stay another year in school because you felt you got cheated?
For me, no, I would not. But I mean, by the time I finished high school, I was ready to move on and go to college. I would have gone to college a year early. I would have been like Devin Askew and just skipped my senior year of high school and gone straight to college had that been an option for me. Unfortunately, nice. I wasn't good enough at basketball to have that option. But yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of people who stay. I would imagine 90% of those are going to be for sports and people trying to get in. I can't imagine staying in high school for any other reason. Like, I mean, you finished every class, so you'd either just be retaking the same classes or just having easy class, which maybe some people would enjoy having a year of easy classes. I don't know. But to me, I'm glad we have the option for kids because these kids have had a year of their lives that they're not going to get back, and this at least gives them an opportunity to have that last senior year or to make up that year that they lost. So I think it's a good idea. I'm glad we're doing it. Glad we're giving kids the opportunity. I just personally wouldn't.
Yeah, I think you almost have to chalk this year up as a loss. I'm not a big fan of it. The sports stuff, I don't really like at all because, you have your juniors that are going to be becoming seniors thinking, okay, this is my year. This is my year to do something, my year to be seen, my moment in the sun. And then you have seniors that are just going to stay an extra year. So I actually don't like it. At some point, you have to cut it off because you're going to hamper somebody's year. You just have to decide whose year is going to suck. Is it going to be the students that lost the year, or is it going to be the juniors that now are going to get overshadowed by the seniors again? Somebody's going to have hurt feelings, and that's just the way it is. I don't really like the big change. If somebody wants to do it for school, I guess that's one thing, but doing it for sports, I don't really care for that too much.
But their kid is going to be the next Michael Jordan, Brandon. If they get that one extra year of high school basketball, it's going to make all the difference. No,
I can tell you're a former coach, Tyler. Sounds like you may have heard that. How come Billy's not getting more playing time?
Well, because Billy can't dribble the ball.
Yeah. Have you seen him dribble? Yeah. But I'm not a fan of it, but that's just me. I get the argument for it. So I'm not passionate one way or another, but I see both sides of the argument. What we got next, Tyler?
Okay. Well, more school. This has just been an episode full of school talk. A bill was signed by Governor Andy Beshear this week that will require all Kentucky schools to open for in-person learning by March 29th. That is 20 days from when we're recording this. This would require several schools here in Fayette County to reopen that, as we just mentioned, were impacted by the school bus driver shortage. So all those schools have to reopen by 29th. Do you think the state should have the right to tell schools when they have to reopen, or should this be left up to each county to make that call?
Oh, geez, Tyler, that is a really tough call. I think there has to be some kind of a push, though, because otherwise you would have counties that probably have no interest in even opening up for the rest of the semester. Because truth be told, let's look at this. I mean, we've got, 2 months left in the school year?
Yep.
So some of them may look around and say, 2 months left, what's the point? Which I get. It's a valid argument. I hate that it's taken this long to where you even have that as a possibility. But sometimes you have to nudge people along a little bit to get stuff going. And if that's the case, then so be it. So, I get that every county, we have 120 counties, which makes it really difficult. So, if you have 120 different education systems across the state, and then you're also asked to take these standardized tests, you've got a big problem because, as we heard, the federal government's requiring the standardized test and states aren't going to be able to opt out of it. So you got to get the ball rolling, man. Those test scores are important because they tell you everything about a child. That's the only thing that matters is those test scores. So we got to be prepped for those. Sarcasm is thick in here.
Yes. As we talked about last week with testing. I'm not really a big fan of this, honestly, just because, as you said, we have 120 different counties. Every county has different needs. Every county has different resources and abilities. And I just don't think I don't think you can just make one blanket policy and say, hey, everybody has to be ready by this date when, some schools, as we just talked about with Fayette County, can't even, how are they going to get these kids to school that are open? I mean, what are they supposed to do?
But here's the reality. These school systems have had months to figure this out. It's kind of like one of those, okay, I'll give you another month. I'll give you another month. Okay, you're obviously not going to do anything. We're going to tell you to do it. It's like, you give people enough room there to do something, but when you lead a horse to water and they don't drink, sometimes you got to make them guzzle some water, because they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They've shown that they don't want to do it on their own for whatever reason. So I don't know. There's got to be something at some point to where there's a little nudge in the right direction. Do I think they should be penalized or something? No, but there needs to be a target date. And then if they don't meet that target date, they should be pressured into doing something by the public.
Then you will force their head into the water and make them drink it, as you said.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. How about that?
All right.
Tyler, one of your favorite Kentucky politicians, Mitch McConnell, has recently opened up.
Boy.
That your boy has opened up, not in favor of necessarily the $15 per hour minimum wage hike that some in the Democrat and progressive movement have pushed for, but he said he is open to an increase in the minimum wage, just not $15. Tyler, are you happy to see Mitch look at the minimum wage and acknowledge that it needs to be increased, or is this just a bunch of hullabaloo?
Well, I think Mitch McConnell, as we have seen throughout his tenure, is a great compromiser. I mean, he is essentially the Henry Clay of modern times, and that he is willing to go across the aisle to try to work out a deal with Democrats.
Jeez Louise, Tyler.
No, I think this is just him playing his game. I don't think he has any interest in raising the minimum wage. He knows Democrats aren't going to go for this. This is just his attempt at looking like, well, hey, I offered to do it for this, but I mean, it is far past time for an increase in minimum wage. Now whether you think it should be $15 or $12 or whatever it is, I think we're all in agreement that, or at least I am. You may disagree, but I think we are far past time for an increase in minimum wage. But I mean, McConnell he was the majority leader for how long? Did he ever bring up a minimum wage hike in the last 4 years while Trump was president? No. So I don't think there is any sincerity from this whatsoever. But I do hope we at least get something.
Yeah, it's an interesting argument. I mean, the other side of the argument, obviously, and you and I have both heard both sides of these arguments 5,000 times. But the argument is, you raise the minimum wage, you're raising the cost of goods, right? If you raise the minimum wage, let's say it's $10 an hour. If you pay the base level employee $10 an hour, then if you have employees right now that were making, $2 more an hour than the minimum wage, they're going to ask for an increase as well. So you're not just increasing the minimum wage, you're increasing wages across the board and mandating that across businesses. The downside to that could be, with the economic strain we've had all over the country, is this the right time to put in? These places are barely scraping by, right? We've had a lot of places close their doors. So it may be a bad time to do it. If you're looking at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, could we have picked a worse time to do it? Because, a lot of those jobs have been just cut altogether. And these companies are being strained. Now, your McDonald's, your Walmarts, and all those they're going to be around. They're going to be fine. But if you're talking about small business owners, that's where it could impact a little bit more. So it's something to think about. It's not just as easy as saying, okay, we need to take care of the minimum wage worker. It's also, what do we do to mom and pop business here? And is this going to put too big of a strain? Because it's going to cut into somebody's profits there, or what little profits they have.
Yeah, I can see that argument. I don't agree with the people who say, oh, if you raise the minimum wage, it's going to cause the price of everything else to go up. Well, the prices of everything else are already been going up. I mean, inflation happens. I mean, but
there could be a bigger increase is the argument. The argument is it could be a bigger increase in normal inflation.
Yeah, well, but to say that's the reason not to raise minimum wage, I think is just bogus, because I mean, I remember ordering off the 99-cent menu at Wendy's and getting my junior bacon cheeseburger for 99 cents, and now it's like $2 or something now. So,
and the junior bacon cheeseburgers are like this big now. They're like little they're sliders. They're junior bacon sliders is basically what they are.
Exactly.
They've gotten tiny. Tyler, what we got next?
All right. Well, Brandon, if you have ever thought that it was harmless signing one of those petitions on social media, you might want to make sure your checkbook is balanced. The governor's legal team, Governor Andy Beshear's legal team, submitted a bill last week seeking nearly $18,000 in reimbursement from the people who signed a petition pushing for his impeachment. This was, of course, for his actions related to COVID-19 when he shut everything down. And apparently, in the state of Kentucky, it is legal. I had no clue about this until this week. It is legal to require unsuccessful petitioners to pay back the legal fees that the person that the petition was filed against. So Kentucky law says Andy Beshear can charge the petitioners for his legal fees on this petition. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
First of all, dumb law needs to be changed. Okay, but let's say those are the rules. I'm a big proponent. If those are the rules, then you got to go by them.
Okay.
First thing that needs to happen, if you don't like them, talk to your legislature and get them to change that rule, because it's stupid. The second thing is, even if that's the case, and I'm assuming that's the case because you just told me, if I were Andy Beshear, I think that's bad politics. It sounds like something, if I told you that a politician was trying to sue people that went against him, who do you think that sounds like? Does it sound like anybody that was president the last 4 years?
Maybe. Yeah.
Does that sound like a type of? Does that sound like a type of behavior? You know, you go against your enemies and you try to go after them. That's what it sounds like to me. And I just don't think it's very smart. You got to rise above sometime. You're the governor of the state. I mean, there's been petitions for impeachment for governors all over the country all the time. There's recalls. There's petitions. Get rid of the XYZ. That's just the way it is. If you weren't ready for that, then you shouldn't have run for governor. I just think it's bad politics. If you're looking at it strictly from a political standpoint, even if that is the law and the rule, just not good optics and not smart. Although deep down inside, he's probably like, I'm going to stick it to these. But if you're looking at it from the big picture, if I'm his advisor, I'm saying, dude, these are ankle biters. Let him go. It doesn't help you. He's not going to build a new coalition off this going after petitioners. Not smart, in my opinion.
Yeah, I now have to question everything I knew about petitions, because I thought my understanding as American citizens, we have the right to petition. I did not realize that came with paying their legal fees. It's like everything I knew about petitions, some rapper has made a remix about it, and I don't understand now. What I thought I once knew about petitions is no more. What happens if they don't pay? Or is Governor Beshear going to send these people to prison if they don't pay?
Well, exactly. What's this going to look like? How much are each of these people going to be out? What are his legal fees exactly? Do we know how much his total legal fee bill is? Because I guess we could divide that by the number of petitioners.
Right. Yeah. It was 18,000. So, but I don't know how many petitioners there were.
Maybe one of those class action lawsuits. By the time there's so many people, you end up getting like a nickel out of a class action lawsuit. Maybe each one of these people only offers, 10 cents or something. I don't know.
Well, I hope so. I hope that's all it is. But speaking of rappers doing remixes, Brandon.
No, oh no.
I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and break off a little preview of the remix. Because it's the remix to petition everyone who was wishing they could impeach the governor. They might be sitting in prison and he's sipping on coke while his haters are broke from paying all his legal bills. Tell me this must be a joke. Better not bounce, 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 bounce those checks. Drop the mic. I'm dropping the mic after that one.
I can't look at you right now. Tyler, if you would have given me a week to figure out what you were going to do there, I wouldn't have even come close to that.
I told you I had something good for this topic. I was saving it.
We need to do another segment where we have you do a remix of the news of the week.
Hey, I'll be happy to, but I don't know if I can top that one or not. The remix to petition. Our next number one hit.
Oh my goodness.
Our next single.
Yeah, that could be maybe the B-side of our hit single. I like that. We'll have to put that out. Jeez Louise, I didn't see that coming. Are you going to break off something else, or should I go to the next topic?
No, that will be my last song for today's show anyway.
Oh my goodness, Tyler, you almost had me dead on that one. Speaking of dead, by the way.
Oh, okay.
See, look at this. The University of Kentucky faculty is considering renaming the timeless phrase Dead Week, which is commonly used to describe the week before final exams. They're doing this to help with the mental health situation across the country. They're trying to be sensitive to students' mental health, and the term Dead Week could be offensive and could hurt people that are facing mental challenges during that time period before final exams. They're trying to create a more inclusive environment by eliminating the term Dead Week. Tyler, is this issue dead or is it alive, and is it meaningful at all?
People have way too much time on their hands. Like, it would have never occurred to me if my full-time job was to just sit around and think of things on UK's campus that needed to be changed, I would have never thought that we need to change the name Dead Week. Like, maybe something's wrong with me. Like, I just don't think of these things. Like, I would have never thought Dead Week could be offensive. So now they're considering changing it to, they're going to call it Prep Week. I think that's what I saw. They're going to change it from Dead Week to Prep Week, which is perfect because, one of my favorite TV shows of all time is The Walking Prep. The zombie apocalypse show. I'm also a big fan. You remember the Robin Williams movie, Prep Poet Society?
It was a good one.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Yeah, that was a great one. And I guess I'm gonna have to have them change the road sign out by my street to have it say Prep End.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Oh boy, Tyler, that is geez, you're killing me on this segment, dude.
I'm sorry. I'm on a roll tonight.
You are, but it's a good point. I mean, it's funny though. We were on a trip, my wife and I, to Disney World, and we were at Magic Kingdom, and we actually talked about, you stand in line for like an hour for some of these rides.
Yeah,
we're like, what's some stuff we can cancel in Disney World? And we were sitting in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. I was like, how come they're portraying pirates as like drunk white people? That's really disparaging. They don't talk about all the good that pirates do. So maybe they should just cancel that ride. It's like you could find something in anything if you really set your mind to it and really think about something too long. But sometimes it's just best to move along your merry life. But we're not doing that anymore. At some point, we're going to run out of words to talk about with each other. We're just going to blink. But then that's going to be offensive to people that blink too much. They're going to be self-conscious about it.
It's going to be offensive to blind people.
Exactly.
Or to blind birds. You sold my dead bird, my blind bird to or no, blind kid. No, I totally screwed that one up.
You sold my dead birds for a blind.
It'd be offensive to blind kids. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, literally any move you make could be offensive to someone. The fact that you and I host a podcast is probably offensive to some people, Tyler. I mean, it's just the way it is. I don't have enough time in my life to worry about stuff like this, and I think you just got to move on.
Yeah. Well, I'm more interested. What are the good things that pirates do?
Well, they sell the seven seas, Tyler. They make rum. They,
okay.
They're
entrepreneurs. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're on the Captain Morgan bottle, for Pete's sake. I mean, without that image, do we even have Captain Morgan? So, I mean, they add a lot to society, and we need to acknowledge their, I don't know. But you get what I'm saying.
No, I was just giving you a hard time.
Okay. But you get it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brandon, it is. All right. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Did you have more you want to add on the Dead Week?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. My headphones keep beeping, and I don't know if it's because they're dying or what.
Oh, no.
But we'll see how it goes. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we're almost done. We got a couple more topics to go. Let's keep going.
All right. Well, Brandon, it is time for our weekly Culture War update. Last week, it was Mr. Potato Head. This week, it is Dr. Seuss. It was announced 6 of the books by the famous children's author will no longer be published due to racist imagery. This includes the books And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street, If I Ran the Zoo, and 4 other books I honestly have never heard of. Mm-hmm. How does it make you feel to know that you cannot read these books in a car? You cannot read them in a bar. You cannot read them at the fair. You cannot read them anywhere.
Oh, boy. It's interesting because there's 2 sides of this. The first side is, I feel like we're burning books and just phrases and just language at a rapid rate. It's like every week we have something new. Mr. Potato Head had his spuds cut off last week because we can't call him Mr. Potato Head, right? So it's like, how much at some point our book of like ways to talk to each other gets smaller and smaller, and the things that we have in common get smaller and smaller to the point to where we're just trying to find nitpicky things to get upset about. Now, with this book, I haven't read a Dr. Seuss book in a long time. All right. I saw somebody post on Facebook like, well, the people that are upset are the ones that haven't read a Dr. Seuss book in 20, 30 years. Well, I would hope not. I'm a grown adult. But the thing is, it's like, do you want these things removed from culture for generations and generations to come? Dr. Seuss wrote books in a time that's a lot different than 2020. If we're trying to do everything by 2020 political correctness standards, there would hardly be any books to read. Right? And so you have to take books as they were written at the time, in my opinion. You have to accept them for the flaws, but at the time they may not have been flaws. But, it's good to look back and see how things were. If we don't know how things were, they could probably go back to that again. And it's funny, when I was in high school, we talked about Fahrenheit 451 in English class, and I was like, who the heck burns books? This is ridiculous. Or like you see the Salem witch trials where they, burn people at the stake because, this angry crowds get around people and they're just, get rid of them. I'm like, oh, that's a load of baloney. And then I'm looking around, I'm like, oh crap, I see exactly how that could happen. I mean, you can see the mentality and the way it happens. And this is across the board. This isn't just one political party thing. I think it used to be, but I think it cuts across both political parties. And just stuff like this drives me crazy. You can get an angry mob together and do anything now. So if you thought the Salem witch trials and all that stuff were ridiculous when you heard them the first time, no, not so much. Go on Twitter. They'll burn you at the stake on Twitter.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, 100%. But I think this, as with most everything else in our society, I feel like everybody has to take a stance. So you either think, oh, we should ban all Dr. Seuss books, or you think, oh, we should praise Dr. Seuss. Well, Dr. Seuss, as with most people, he's somewhere in the middle. I mean, I don't think Dr. Seuss was a terrible person. I mean, he wrote all these wonderful books for kids that I still read to my kids. I still read Dr. Seuss books to my kids. Mm-hmm. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has imperfections. Okay. Did Dr. Seuss, and I feel ridiculous referring to a man as Dr. Seuss. I wish I knew his actual name. I mean, did Dr. Seuss have some views that might have been racist? I mean, possibly. I mean, but does that mean that we need to throw away the entire collection of Dr. Seuss and cancel everything Dr. Seuss related, when how many thousands of kids have learned to read by reading Dr. Seuss? I mean, it's like with everything else. I mean, there's a middle ground, but nobody wants to be in the middle ground. Everybody has to be at one extreme or the next. So we either have to praise Dr. Seuss and think, oh, he's up here on a pedestal, or we have to bring Dr. Seuss down and say we need to get rid of every book that he's ever written. I don't think we need to get rid of every Dr. Seuss book ever written, but if there are some that contain racist images, right, fine, let's get rid of those. And it should be noted, this was actually Dr. Seuss's company. Like, they were the ones who made this decision to not publish these books. It's not like somebody told them they can't. They kind of took this upon themselves that they're not going to release them anymore. And I think it's also ridiculous. I've seen countless articles where this whole thing came about because last week was Read Across America Week or whatever, where schools do their big literacy thing. And almost every school had that centered around Dr. Seuss. And we saw so many schools in Kentucky and across the country that canceled their Dr. Seuss themes for literacy. I think that's dumb. Okay, we can still use the things he did that was good, and then take out the things that were bad. Just let's not show the kids those books, but let's not throw away all the other ones that were really good. Just my thoughts.
Well, here's the other thing too: is what is your definition of throw away the good books or throw away the bad books? For your information, The Cat in the Hat has shown up on some list of books that should be taken away too. Now, do you think The Cat in the Hat should be removed? I think it's one of my favorite books I've ever read in my life.
Oh yeah,
I loved it. Yeah. I absolutely love that book. But it's on these lists too, so it's one of those slippery slope arguments, which has gotten us to where we are right now. If you would have told me 20 years ago they would change the name of Mr. Potato Head, I would have said, "What are you smoking? You're crazy." But it's a progressive step, one step, and then before you know it, 10 years later, it's like Tubby Smith, Tyler. When he first lost 10 games, you were like, okay, it's not too bad. And then you saw the recruiting drop off. Then 10 years later, you're like, what the hell just happened here? It's the same thing with this stuff. You open the door a little bit and everything just comes crashing down. And it's just, it's tricky, man. It's a slippery slope. And I just hate that we keep going down it.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, as I said, I just think there's a middle ground to every person. Nobody's perfect, but also everybody has flaws. But we have to pretend that everybody is either flawless or just completely full of flaws.
Yeah, and absolutely, Ty. I mean, I accept you for your flaws or we wouldn't be doing this show. I mean,
that's right.
And you accept me for mine. And that's how we get along. That's how we do things.
That's right.
At least I hope you accept me, Tyler.
Well, most of the time.
That's fine. Tyler, let's wrap it up with this last one.
Okay.
So if you're aware, which I hope you are because you're part of this show, our Sweet 16 candy bar bracket featured Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, which are covered in chocolate at the end, which you absolutely love. However, Reese's has just announced that they are going to be introducing an all peanut butter, chocolate-free Reese cup. So no chocolate coating at the end, just straight peanut butter and everything else that's in it, just missing the chocolate on the outside. Tyler, are you scooping this up or are you sticking to old school chocolate Reese cups?
This is dumb. This is such a dumb an all peanut butter Reese cup. I mean, do they not realize it is the combination of peanut butter and chocolate that has made Reese's what it is? It is not just the peanut butter alone. It is not just the chocolate alone. It is the blissful combination of the silky, smooth chocolate, the sweetness combined with the salty crunchiness of the peanut butter. There is not a better pairing of any two items than peanut butter and chocolate. When I die, just bury me in a tub of peanut butter and chocolate. Don't waste the money on a casket. Just bury me in a gigantic Reese cup and I will be forever at peace.
Oh, my goodness, Tyler. Make sure that's in your will. I can't wait to see that when that pops out. Tyler, I'm not a big fan of Reese Cups anyway. I like peanut butter somewhat, but having it in this, I wasn't a fan of it to begin with. The chocolate was the only redeeming factor to me. So, this does absolutely nothing for me. But there's some people that don't like chocolate either. I don't really care for chocolate myself. There are very few candy bars that I actually really seek out and want to eat. Reese's is not one of them. I hate to disappoint you, Tyler. So I'm neither disappointed nor excited because I didn't care for the original Reese Cup.
I mean, what is the difference between eating one of these all peanut butter Reese Cups and just sticking my finger in a jar of Jif and just licking the peanut butter off I mean, if I just wanted all peanut butter, I would just eat peanut butter. It is the combination that makes it good. It's what separates us from the animals, Brandon. That is the combination of the chocolate and the peanut butter.
An animal out in the wild could just go out and get peanut butter.
Exactly.
But it's the man's brain that said, put the two together. Let's live as one in one Reese Cup bar. And that's what makes us different. That's not the opposable thumb. It's not that. It's the fact that we can combine chocolate and peanut butter.
It is truly man's greatest accomplishment is the combination chocolate and peanut butter. Now, I will add, if Reese's has had a good idea, I'm going to actually share this and hold this up. If you're watching this on video,
yeah, I can see that.
Have you seen these, Brandon? These are the Reese Cups with a marshmallow top.
No.
These are delightful. Let me tell you, I have been snacking on these. I'll actually open it up here so you can see. These have you can see a little white layer of marshmallow on the top, and then you get the chocolate on the bottom with the peanut butter in the middle.
Oh man, that's serious.
This is a good idea. The all peanut butter. The all peanut butter is a terrible idea. Whoever came up with that needs to be fired.
Wow. Tyler, that just looks terrible too. I'll just be honest with you. I mean, I like marshmallow. I don't like peanut butter, man. I don't get into it. It's not my thing. Now, are those just as good when you put them in the freezer? I've heard people put Reese Cups in the freezer or refrigerator and then eat them. Have you tried those with the marshmallow top?
No, I have not yet, but you're right. I do need to do that. I may go put some of these in the refrigerator right now after this show so that they're ready for breakfast in the morning.
Well, that's a good idea because then we can cover that maybe a little bit when we do our Elite 8 round of our Sweet 16 tournament bracket on the next episode.
Yes, which is coming up. I can't wait.
I know. It's going to be exciting. This has been, I know I talk about having random shows, but I feel like your remix of the news is one of my favorite things I've ever heard you do just in my life. I've known you for 38 years, Tyler. I didn't see that coming. You think you know somebody, right? You think you know them. And then you just bust out a remix like that. Unbelievable. The Dr. Seuss discussion, of course, talking Mitch McConnell, bus drivers, Kentucky basketball. Whew. I'm exhausted.
This was a great show. I mean,
I agree.
And it's only getting better. I mean, we got in our next show, we'll have the SEC and NCAA tournaments to talk about. Like we are ramping up.
Here, and you know what? I don't know if this is true, but I know that it's true. We'll have something else that somebody's offended about that we can talk about on the next episode. I have no idea where it's going to come from or who it's going to be, but somebody's going to be upset about something, and we'll probably get to talk about that too. I'll put money on it right now.
Yeah. I would never have guessed we'd be talking about Dead Week, but here we are.
You know what, Tyler? We need to do a segment on things that we think will be canceled by the end of the year and place a bet on it.
That's not a bad idea. Okay. I like it. We can just make that a weekly segment on the show.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a fun one, Tyler. As I mentioned earlier in the show, make sure you go to our website, lakesbuds.com, check out Tyler's latest article and the audio and video for this particular show. Go to your internet boxes, machines, and type the word Lexbuds, Lexbuds, into your machine, and we will pop up, whether it's on YouTube, your podcast feed. You can check us out on Facebook. Just search Lexbuds and Pick and Roll on Twitter at Lexbuds. And Tyler, it was a fun one, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling next week again.
Yes, sir. You just do the sign off because we can't do this over Zoom, as we learned last week.
It's more fun when you try to acknowledge that there's a delay in the video feed, and we try to do it together. I think we just try to do it. You ready?
Okay.
Let's do this. All right, I'll do 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do it. Let's do this.
Okay.
Ready?
All right.
1, 2, 3. Stay classy,
Kentucky.
Oh, jeez, that was horrible. All right. We'll see you guys soon.